An efficient way to condition your backyard garden might be all those scraps left over from last night's dinner. So, Mary from Tamarack has a novel idea, and actually, this is a Canadian, Ontario made idea. Can you explain the composter that you have for us to start backyard composting?
Sure. Composting is something that anybody can do. And like Anne said, you can just use your scraps from last night's dinner or when you have leftovers from preparing your salads. And the perfect solution to good compost is having the right mix of carbon and nitrogen. So this composter is wonderful because it's actually made from recycled cardboard. And so that gives you your carbon component. And when you put your leftover cherry pits and greens and leafy vegetables that you're not going to use and throw that in, then you're adding the nitrogen.
So, one of the mistakes that people might be making, and it might be attracting rodents or bears, is if they're just putting their scraps in without putting it in this type of a system. So, it really takes all the thinking out of it for you.
Exactly.
So, how does it work?
Well, if you just throw your scraps in the backyard, you are, sort of an open invitation for pests or bears. And if you don't have that right combination of the carbon and nitrogen, the decomposition won't happen. If you have too much of your nitrogen components, you'll know because you'll have a very foul-smelling mess. And if you do have too much carbon, you actually won't get the decomposition. The other solution is you have to flip it over and aerate it. So when you have a container like this, it naturally just breaks down, and all you have to do is toss it every once in a while, and you'll get the microbial action that you need.
Should you have a designated area in your backyard to do this, maybe farther away from the house, or does it matter?
Well, some people actually have their own composter units that you crank the handle and turn, and these are nice because you can just toss them in there. Some people have the piles. Again, with a system like this, you can just throw it in, and some municipalities offer a composting service where you just put it curbside and they pick it up. So depending upon where you live, whether you're in an apartment or whether you're in a yard with lots of acreage, you have lots of options.
Now, I see we have coffee grounds here, and I do remember people putting tea bags and such into their garden. What are some things that should never go into a composter?
Never throw meats, fats, anything that won't break down that way, because for sure that's an invitation for bears. That's not going to decompost. What you really want are just the nice organic greens, and that's going to give you the best soil at the end also.
And then would you just incorporate this soil into your garden afterwards, or how long would it take?
Well, it sort of depends on the nature of what you're putting in there. A lot of the carbon components, you can have like shredded cardboard, shredded newspaper. It's going to break down more quickly. Excuse me. If you have leaves and things that you've had from the fall, it will break down. You have to make sure you turn it over, and you have to make sure that there's enough moisture. So if you're not getting rain and your compost pile looks a little dry, add some moisture. That'll speed things up too.
So is this really helpful to our community in general?
Well, sure it is, because it actually decreases our reliance on the landfill. So when we recycle our plastic and our cardboard, our paper, if we can cut down on our composting, not only are we decreasing the landfill site, but we're actually putting good, healthy soil back into our plants and gardens.
So you might want to incorporate backyard composting into your daily routine. For Go on Shaw TV, I'm Ann Gordonnaire.